Good evening, everyone, and welcome to Loading Bag NFC, the home of the top table talk. And it did make me laugh, Chris, in the private chat, just putting on there. Yeah, just make sure it's the right music this week. And we've got the right music. Well, we got it eventually, didn't we? We had it as the outro last week, didn't we?
We did.
So it all worked out well. But we're back. The boys are back. The Loaded Boys are here. And we are joined by a couple of the panel guests. We've got Charlie from Blue Brothers. Chelsea fan, how you doing, fella?
Yeah, good, mate. Pleasure to be back. Can't believe it's an international break already. But yeah, here we are, mate.
Yeah. You know, when you get into the flow of things, you just think, oh, why now?
Yeah, no, it's a nightmare, isn't it?
But look, it is what it is. And we've got Wolfie back from Forest Fan TV. How you doing, fella? How's your week been?
I'm good, mate.
How was your Wednesday?
Look, right. Penalties do not count. Everyone knows that, right? And it's like whatever. Anyway, I don't want to focus on the league. You guys enjoy that Mickey Mouse Cup. I know you've won nothing in like a billion years. So it would be a big thing to you. We've already got plenty of those League Cups in the cabinet. We're not worried about it. So yeah, I'm good, mate. But thank you for starting with that. But I need to ask, why is Charlie here?
Mate.
I thought this was the top half of the table discussion.
Oh. Let's check.
No, we're not top half.
Thanks for coming. 11th. Appreciate your time, mate.
Forrest got more points than us.
That surprises you, mate.
I ain't looked at the table. I don't look at the table right now.
You haven't looked at the table in 3 years, Charlie.
Nah, I was keeping a close eye on it second half of last season, but yeah, didn't realise we were still bottom half. But it is what it is. It's not about the first 3 games. We've got 35 to go. We'll revisit that in a few months.
Wolfie, if you know Charlie like I know Charlie, you made a mistake there because he's going to be calling you out. Every time you don't get a result, he's going to be dropping it in.
He can call me out as much as he wants. His problem is he knows that under Cooper, our only away win that season was at Stamford Bridge. He has no comeback to that, right?
Yeah, we haven't beaten you at Stamford Bridge.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, the last 2 seasons, yeah.
Interesting.
Good to see you though, Charlie. It's been a while, mate.
Always a pleasure, mate. Always a pleasure.
And we're straight into it. Look, I've got a question for you. And yes, it's not about the Premier League just yet, Wolfie. But at that point where the referee points to your end, take penalties, and the cheer gun comes up from the home fans, at that point, you must have been thinking that the round's yours, that you're going to be knocking Newcastle out. You must have been thinking it, sure.
Now, I wanted it down the other end. We're so much better down the Bridgeford end, mate. Way better. I can't remember the last time we lost the penalties. Shit out that end. But I will say to you, once Miguel made the save, I was there like, okay, so only the next 2 have to score, and we're through. And that was the point where I started to care about the Carabao Cup competition, which I don't really give 2 craps about, right? But that point, this is what Forest does to you, mate. They make you care. And then when they know you're caring, they rip your heart back out and put another scar. I'm running out of places for scars, man. And it's my fault for starting to care right then. If I hadn't cared, Forest would have gone through. And who did you get? AFC Wimbledon. Yep. Oh my God, you could put the youth team out. If Forest had gone through, we'd ended up with Man City or something. That's how it works, man.
Well, Wolfie, look, and Daz, Chris, you will agree with this. It's about time we got a draw like that. And I'm not saying that lightly. She's still got to go there and get the result. But the Carabao Cup last season, Man City at home, Man United away, Chelsea away. They were our fixtures.
Good game, that one.
Yeah, shut up. I think you're going to bring that up.
Champions League draw, another example, Pete. Because you can't get much harder than PSG, Dortmund, and AC Milan as well.
I bet you boys are gutted you're not. I bet you boys are gutted you're not playing Noah's Ark in the Conference League this season like we are.
Hey, I think.
Mate, we've got a team called Noah. Some team from Kazakhstan, Panathinaikos, Ghent, and Shamrock Rovers.
No,
wait, didn't you?
Shamrock Rovers. There you go.
Mate, back amongst
didn't you lose the second leg, Charlie? Didn't you lose the second leg to some team I've never heard of?
No, we did lose the second leg, yeah, but we went through, so it doesn't really matter.
Who was it?
Servette.
Yeah, we lost to Servette. Yeah, 2-1.
I just keep thinking Serviette. Every time I see their name, I just keep thinking Serviette, and I don't know why. But
Their pitch was dreadful. But yeah, we played very badly. But ultimately, it didn't cost us in the end.
Lucky it didn't, because it looked like the tails were up on that one. But look, Wolfie, we'll start with yourself. 1-1 draw with Wolves. Looked like you were up at one point and looked like you were going to go on to get the win. I know they hit back quite quickly, but pleased with the performance, disappointed that you didn't take all three. How are you seeing it from a Forest perspective?
It's a tough one, isn't it? Because I'm looking at it now, and the chat will go for me. I don't care. Hi, chat, right? Forest should be on 9 points. I mean, we should be joint top of the table. We blew it late against Bournemouth. We took the lead against Wolves. And then 3 minutes later, of course, a worldie goes in. I mean, it's only against Forest those kind of goals go in. It's like, what was he doing hitting it from there? And then the second half, I mean, we were playing really well that first half. And then the second half, you'd say a draw would be a fair result based on what happened. But we're undefeated. But there's still a little bit of me, that inner child, that's like, man, imagine we'd won all 3 games. Because I'm looking ahead now. We've got Liverpool away and Brighton away back to back, probably the 2 informed teams in the league. So I think we'll find out a lot about Forest after the international break. If we can get some points on the board from there, then I think we're going to be fine this season. But I hope we don't come back and regret that late goal against Bournemouth and not taking 3 points at Wolves, because we haven't won at home yet this season. We've got more points away from home than at home, which is unusual in this Premier League era. But overall, 5 points. Not conceded many, not bad at all. I'm happy, but I just still think we should be on 9. We should be on 9.
And your boy's got an England call up as well.
MGW, yeah. Well deserved. Excuse me. Yeah, I didn't think he had a great match at the weekend. I don't know if he had half an eye on the England call up, making sure he was fit, but he's wanted that since he was a kid. He's gone up through the age groups in there. So it's well deserved from him. But I've got to say again, boys, thank you for Mr. Anderson, because he really is Neo, man. He is the one. You guys, like, you're telling me, Pete, when we first spoke about him, you're playing him out on the left and he wanted to be a 10 or an 8. He's brilliant in the 8. I cannot believe you gave him to us for 15 mil. He's absolutely quality. He was brilliant against you midweek.
We don't know for sure if it was 15 mil. We'll wait till next April when the accounts come out.
If it makes you feel better, call it 35 mil. Right now, I'd say he's probably worth about 45 to 50 mil. He's so good. Wow. You can see the potential in him, and he's already starting to deliver on the pitch. And his work rate and his work ethic is unbelievable. You guys bring him up right in Newcastle, I'll tell you that much, man. What a signing. And if it is the 15 mil, I'm hearing 12 mil as well, something like that, then that for me could go down as one of the signings of the season, because he's sheer quality.
Yeah. See, I heard it and seen it on social media, boys. Now, drop it back to you, Daz, Chris. Did see a lot over the weekend about how good Elliot Anderson played at the weekend. I hadn't seen it myself. But yeah, seems to be doing the biz at the moment. It was always a case, lads, that it was a case of he just needed to go and play games somewhere and play regular football.
Yeah, he needed a run of games, right? And he wasn't getting that at Newcastle. Look, he did go to, was it Bristol Rovers with Joey Barton? And he did really well there. And then he had a great pre-season for us. But I think he got an injury then, and then that set him back a bit, and he never really got back in. He's a bit par player for us then. And we had an awful lot of injuries as it was. So that kind of says it as well. But no, it's great to see him doing well at for us. And you could see as well in the League Cup match, which won the penalties, that the bond is still there with the sure he's mates that he grew up with and then played with. So he kind of forgot himself at times and thought he was going to go off with the Newcastle players for a chat and stuff. But no, best of luck to him in his career, and good lad as well.
How's Blackademus settled in for you boys?
Still haven't, don't we? We tried to get rid of him on loan, but hasn't been seen since. Hasn't been in the team sheet.
You guys screwed us over.
He doesn't even make the bench, does he?
No.
No, we didn't want him. We didn't.
Has he been allocated a shirt number yet or not?
He's got a shirt number just. But look, let's be honest. Let's be honest. Like Chris, we Newcastle United didn't want him. If we wanted him, he'd have been on the bench the last couple of games. The fact that he hasn't tells us everything about Lacademos at the moment.
Yeah, and this is why it was such a strange deal. I mean, I'll be honest, Wolfie, at the time, obviously, I didn't see a lot of Lacademos. We saw the fact that he didn't make many appearances for Forest, and we know that you brought in Matt Sells ultimately because you didn't want to play him. So that set off the worry a little bit. But obviously, we looked at his previous career and when he was at Benfica and he played Champions League football, and we thought, oh, okay, maybe he's okay. And I must admit, in the pre-season, he didn't do too much wrong for me. But clearly behind the scenes, he's obviously not performing, and Eddie Howe clearly isn't keen on him. So we've ended up losing a lot of the Elliot Anderson value, if you like, because we were, I'll be honest, Wolfie, like we all rate Elliot Anderson incredibly highly, and obviously local lads, and he's got the talent. And I'll be honest, from a personal point of view, I thought the Forest move would be good for him because I thought he'll get some, well-deserved minutes and he could really kick on. But what makes it even worse now is the fact that we've heard that, the 35 million isn't in fact 35 million if you're taking Lacademos. And if it's 15 million, it's absolute daylight robbery. It's daylight robbery because Elliot Anderson's a really, really good player. And now the fact that we're trying to get rid of Lacademos by all accounts, and he couldn't, I think, was it the first game of the season, boys? He had, was it Ruddy on the bench over Lacademos?
That's when you know you're banging trouble, when you got John Ruddy on the bench instead of this Lacademos geezer. Yeah,
Bournemouth.
That was last weekend. Bournemouth,
right?
Yeah.
Wow.
I mean, that says it all.
Well, we had not even just Ruddy. We had Max Thompson from the reserves, who was the second goalkeeper that travelled. The third goalkeeper. So obviously Pope in goal, Ruddy was second, then Max Thompson was third, who's now actually gone out on loan off the back of that. That's how much we don't want him in the team. And we had Dubravka with a concussion. So we knew Dubravka was out. And we still didn't pick him for the squad. And you know what, boys? And Charlie and Wolfie, I don't expect you to have seen it, but our celebration photo in the changing room. I don't know if you caught Lacademos. Like he just looks like just gone.
The last one.
Yeah, the last one.
He's just there for vibes, isn't he? Where is he?
Is he
dead centre in the black and white?
Yeah.
Oh, there he is.
He's not even in the kit.
Oh, in the jacket. At the back.
He's not even in the kit. He's not even in the training kit. So he's not one of the squad. He's just like he could be a Callum Wilson who's injured at the moment. Like he's just there for the
buy a ticket, I think.
Yeah, he probably. He's literally just there for the vibes. Like, fair play to him because he's obviously getting paid handsomely to do it. But it's so clear that
mate, I won't laugh too much because Villa had us silly as well. We paid 19 million quid for Kellyman, who's playing for the 21s, and now he's injured for 2 months. So
yeah, but you're all looking at it wrong, right? Joking aside, because it is quite funny, but you got to look at the meaning behind it. So you guys got 35 million, because these deals, yes, net we only paid 15-ish mil, right? But you got 35 million because he's an academy player. You got to put 35 million on your books, neat profit, yeah. And you sent us back 22 million. And you got to. Football is not about how much you buy someone for and how much you sell them for. Now it's all about amortization. That's the buzzword right now. It's all about, can you get under that PSR limit? That 35 million that we paid you for Anderson, even though it's net 12 to 15. It has saved your season. It has saved you points deductions, penalties, and everything. Exactly. So you guys should be thanking us, really. So you should thank me for selling you Vlachodimos, or my club for selling you Vlachodimos, because it's kept you afloat. So that's the kind of mentality we need now. It's like if you look at Harry Maguire, Man U bought him for what, 80 million. If they sold him now for 20 million, it wouldn't be a 60 million loss. They would make profit on him from PSR. But as stupid as it sounds, that's how football is now. And it's ruining the game because all these academy players should not be sold at 100% profit. These are players that should be developed. The club they love, the club they grew up supporting. You could see it in Elliot Anderson when they asked him the question when he came to Forest, how are you feeling about moving? Most players are like, oh, I was really excited about the opportunity and all this. His first words were about, it's hard to leave my boyhood club. It's hard to leave where I grew up. It's going to be a new chapter for me. And they're still young men. Let's not forget that, man. Remember what you were doing at that age, leaving home and what have you. So I think it's important we kind of look under.
Probably
I know it's funny. I know we can have a laugh, but there's a lot of silliness that goes on in football.
He probably had no say in it either. He's probably told he was going.
Yeah.
Like this is the thing. I don't think, like with Kellyman with us, for example, there's no way he had any say in that. He was told you're going as part of this deal with Maddison. You're off. And I think it's probably the same with Anderson, same with Lacademius. They're just told they're going, and that's what's happening.
It's almost human trafficking at the moment, mate. Honestly, it's just ridiculous. It really is.
It is a madness, like these deals. I mean, it's a lot of teams are doing it. I mean, even like, you know, I think Villa signed Lewis Dobbin from Everton, and like he's never going to play for him. Never going to play for him.
I was watching.
He's gone to West Brom. He's gone to West Brom.
Yeah, he's at West Brom. Yeah, because when I looked at the West Brom squad the other day, I was like, "Wow, he's playing for West Brom." So yeah, it's crazy.
What about Elanga? Elanga and
we need to talk about that, boys. Yeah, what happened there? What happened there?
Well, let's be honest. Like, if
was that an official bid that went in?
Yeah,
it was
allegedly.
Later on.
So apparently there was two. There was two bids. I think Newcastle had bid 30 was the original bid. I think that's when it came out from TalkSport, because Wolfie, I think you dropped me a couple of
we were talking about it. Yeah,
TalkSport went live with it. We were kind of doing the rounds, the three of us on the loaded chat, putting all the latest information in, and then it only came out afterwards. Apparently, there was 50. I think they wanted something like 50 million, or we were bidding close to 50 million.
I heard 50 million plus Miggy. Now, I don't know if that was 50 million including Miggy, because the stories that we were getting, there's loads of different reports coming out of it, was that Forest didn't want to sell him unless a player was coming back in return because it was so late in the market. So I heard one report said, I think it was in The Athletic, it said 45 including Almiron. Now, I don't know if that means 45 cash plus Almiron, or was he part of that 45? So maybe like 25 cash or 30 cash. I don't know what Newcastle would have him valued at. And then the further reports came out to say it was a 50 million package, including Almiron. And Forest said no, because the main reason they said no is he's one of the boys in the changing rooms and they don't want to disrupt it. They don't want that feel-good vibe to go from the window. I would have taken the money, boys. I mean, we've had your pants down over the summer. I would have done it again. I would have taken the money because, honestly, I don't think he's ready to play. I know he's done it in Man U and stuff, but he's not ready for Europe. He still needs to develop that football IQ. His decision-making is still not right for me. And I think you guys would have been just as frustrated with him as the frustrations you're already having at your right-wing position. I still think what you boys were saying last week makes more sense. Get Barnes and Gordon on either side. Go with that. That's a better solution. So I was a little disappointed we didn't take it. In a way, I did like the fact that Forest are now in a position where we can reject these offers. You know, I remember when Brentford came in for Brennan Johnson a couple of years ago for 20 million, and they really did struggle to let that one go when we were back in the Championship. But now it feels like Forest will decide when and when not they're going to sell. So that's the positive for me, but bloody hell, I would have taken the money for him.
Yeah, well, look, I, for one, I'm glad that we didn't go and spend that sort of money. And I think we talked about it, boys, didn't we? We were looking at it and thinking, actually, 50 million, nah.
You boys didn't spend any money.
Well, yeah, we didn't. But the one thing we will say, and won't spend too much longer on this, just because I think we're a transfer when we refuse to. Yeah, we refuse to. But like one thing that has been said at least a couple of times from Eddie Howe since this moment is that money will likely be reinvested in the windows to come, and he made that absolutely clear. So for us, we're hoping that that we're in a good position going into January, fighting in the European spots, hopefully higher than that, and we can then turn the market into our advantage, and we go and get a couple of players. But that ideally is what we want to do. But I just want us just to switch tact to the game at St James's Park on Sunday.
Before you do, Pete, sorry to interrupt you. I just noticed there's only 26 likes on the video, mate.
Oh, come on. We've got way more than that in the chat. We've got 150 plus watching right now. Come on. You know, it makes sense. Thanks for watching, and make sure you get those likes in. And we're gonna come to St James's Park and talk about the game. And look, we have to get the Spurs fan on to discuss it. And there's a few people in the chat that said, please invite this man on to come and talk the game with us. So we brought him on. Welcome, Deji. How you doing, my man?
I'm good, mate. How are you? You all right? Good to see
Not
you.
too bad. Not too bad. I was watching that show last night. Don't you think I was watching that, Deji? The domination in the location.
Yes.
Talk to us, man. You're obviously not happy with Newcastle winning. You thought you were the better team. Talk to us. How did you manage to lose that game?
First and foremost, my bro, Pete, thank you for inviting me, because I've been trying to find you and your fellow Newcastle cronies for a minute. So, it's a pleasure to be here. And so, Chris, Daz, and Charlie, and Wolfie, pleasure to see you all. Look, let's just keep it real, okay? I need at least 2 minutes, okay? First and foremost, I have to say, I am a massive fan of Eddie Howe and the job that he's doing at Newcastle. I think it's been brilliant, and I think it's disgusting what your board is trying to do, because we know secretly they're waiting for Eddie Howe to slip up so that they can bring in a Mourinho type manager. But that aside, let's get to the game. The last 2 seasons, people were telling me before the game that, Tottenham have conceded 10 goals, we've conceded 1. Put the goal scores aside for a sec. What has been most impressive about this Newcastle team is the intensity, is the aggression coming out of your midfield, and the way that people can't cope. That's why a couple seasons ago, we were confident that Arsenal would not get a result at St James's Park. However, in that process, since last season, we brought in Postecoglou, who is bringing in Ange Ball. And Ange Ball is domination in the location. That's what we do. We play people off the park. I was expecting to see Bruno, aka Mike Tyson, Joe Linton, the Gladiator, aka Spartacus, and all your other cronies, Gordon, Barnes, put up their fists and have a good fight. What turned out was Tottenham had you guys spinning around like Kylie Minogue. Now, look, granted, football's all about getting the 3 points. I know you guys are not shameless enough to say, you know what, Dej, we just got the 3 points, ha, ha, ha. You wanted to dominate us. And I'm not buying this rubbish from Newcastle fans who've been messaging me directly all weekend, and I've been replying to them one by one. Last season, you sat back and you hit us on the counter. This season, you tried to go toe-to-toe with my club, and you couldn't. You got absolutely slapped up. We did the domination in the location. And for those people thinking that Spurs this was Newcastle's plan, had Odebear headed the ball, would that have been your plan? Had Maddison got it in the top corner, had that been your plan? Romero not been ruled out for offside, your plan? Pedro hitting the crossbar, was that also part of the plan? Mate, it was, for me, I saw enough foundation, enough Ange Ball. We restricted you to about 4 chances, by the way, to know that the future is bright for my club. So yes, I come here knowing that we lost, but no Newcastle fan here or abroad can shake their bum violently for that performance. That performance was dusty. One of the dustiest performances I've ever seen in my life. And finally, I knew we were going to do domination in the location, because I did an up-watch last weekend and I saw how you guys played against Bournemouth. You guys were lucky. So our Newcastle fans, shake your bum all day long. But if you keep on this trajectory, it's not going to be a good season for you, mate. It's not going to be a good season. So you might be smiling now, but I want to see the same energy and the same grin come 38 games at the end of the season. And that's my piece. And to be honest, I've come here because I want to meet genuine Newcastle fans. What I need to hear from the panel tonight is, Dej, you're absolutely right, mate. We were dog crap. You played us off the park, but, you know, luck was on our side, lady luck, and we got the 3 points. And that's my thoughts.
Okay. Right. So, right to reply. Daz, Chris, you've heard Deji's talk. He's had his 2-3 minutes to say what he feels as a Tottenham fan. What do we say back?
Okay. Staying on the Kylie theme, spinning around. What was the locomotion you were saying? Or
we had you spinning around. Yeah, like Kylie Minogue. Yeah.
but you know, I was at St James's Park for the game, and look, I do agree with you. Newcastle were not at their best. Actually, the performance at St James's Park live looked worse than actually when I watched it back. It looked better on TV, and that's saying a lot. I don't think Spurs were super either. You were definitely missing the striker, not having Solanke and Richarlison there. I think if you did have a striker, you would have won that game. You were just a number of times you put the ball across our face of our goal and no one there to finish. Or we got the block in. We actually did well getting the block in a number of times. We were lucky with Dan Burn with that. You kind of needed Dan Burn to finish it for something off on the day, but. We did get out of jail and getting that win. So I can't disagree with you what you're saying, but we haven't got out of first gear at all this season, and we're in 7 points and still in the League Cup, Wolfie. So it's been a great run. Thanks. It's been a great run for us, but once we get Mortar in, and once Gordon hasn't been the same player since the start of the season, he's starting to edge back into it, and he was our driving force last season. Great to see Barnes getting a few goals. Our Tonali has only got a half an hour in the Premier League so far, so you have to give him a chance as well. I think after the international break, we should start to progress. But it's all about, our away form was absolutely desperate last season. So the next two games away are going to be a telling factor and in how we can perform for this season. I did say as well that this game was going to be like a 6-pointer, because I think us and Spurs are battling for that 4th and 5th kind of position in the league. So, and I know when it comes to going to your place, it'll be a tough game for us. But can't argue what you're saying. We didn't perform to our best, but we got the 3 points.
Respect that,
Chris.
You can argue, man. I'm
going to ask Chris just 1 second, as the other Newcastle representative in the house. Deji's mentioned it a few times. That domination, that word that keeps coming out. Do you think it was domination from Tottenham, in your opinion, Chris?
I mean, to keep the Kylie theme going, I'm going to say to Deji, especially for you, Deji, I'm going to say that I think a lot of what Deji said was right. You know, I don't think Newcastle were at the races. I think Tottenham were the better team. The only thing that I would counter it with is, and I'd be interested to hear Deji's thoughts on this, actually, you know, the fact that I felt like we were clinical. And I felt that, you know, we took our chances, like that Harvey Barnes finish, Deji. That was top draw. And then obviously, you know, talking about the midfield domination, like that moment where Joe Linton spun away from Maddison, plays a fantastic ball, and then Murphy sets it back, and really Isaac can't miss. I just felt like Spurs deserved more. To be fair, Spurs deserved the draw at the very least, and even if they won, you couldn't argue that, you know, that they didn't deserve it. I looking forward to the rest of the season. What I do agree with you wholeheartedly on, Deji, is we can't continue to play how we did, because the first 3 games we've not been great. But I'm hoping, you know, this international break's come at a good time. I think I said it the other day that I think, you know, we can only get better, and really, I would count ourselves quite fortunate that we've ended up with 7 points out of a possible 9, and we're doing it, not playing very well. It will be interesting when we obviously go to the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. I think that'll be another battle. and I do look forward to it. But what I will say is, I also agree, that Ange set you up really well, and I thought I was impressed by Tottenham. I thought they played well. I did think he done good.
No, big up.
I can't believe what I'm hearing.
Not big up. We're just being real.
Bro,
here.
this domination stuff, bro. When this is a football podcast, it's not WWE, man. We're not Nation of Domination here, man. You don't have Farouk and LeBron hanging out, bro.
I'm not gonna lie to you, mate. You could have fooled me, mate, with your squad the way that you've been playing last season. Joe Linton is a barbarian, and so is Gimenez. So let's just be real.
To be fair,
let's be real. The real issue is one, Spurs fans were just really excited they weren't 5-0 down after 20 minutes like previous seasons. Secondly, the main issue is Ange does not know what a highlight, anything but a high line. That second goal that Newcastle scored, I think a championship player could have threaded the ball through. No disrespect. Was it Joe Linton who put it through? I think. No disrespect over. You make it too easy to counter attack against yourselves. And he doesn't learn. He only has a plan A. End of discussion. You could dominate the whole match. It doesn't matter. Your attack is not strong enough anymore to break down a low block or a mid block. And you are just playing this gun-ho football, which is lovely to watch as a neutral.
Yeah.
But unless... Go, yeah.
Yeah, Wolfie, you surprised me, and I think we're gonna need more time, me and you. First and foremost, the goal that Isak scored from Joe Linton through ball was almost akin to the through ball that what's his name? Is it Dunk? Threaded in for the Brighton goal against Arsenal. So just put some respect on your player and the ball. It was a quality ball, well seen. What we do on ball, what we do with our football is we do what I said, and I didn't stutter. We do domination in the location. And the thing is, once the Tottenham players, we swarm you. And what we saw, what I was surprised about was the big game players. And I know, granted, you haven't started the season the way you would have liked, but I really didn't see any muscle. You know what I mean? You huffed and puffed, you got it over the line, and well done for that. But you didn't really do much. Yes, you created the chance and you scored. The difference between Spurs, and I think Dad said it right, and Newcastle on the weekend was Isak. You had a striker. We had bloody Kulusevski, mate, up front at number 9, and you could see in the first half that he was struggling to turn right. He looked like an oil tanker trying to turn to face the ball. Do you know what I'm saying? Had that been Solanke, had that been Richarlison, I think it's a different game. And what can we do? We're not going to go over spilt milk. We didn't have strikers in place. Had Van de Ven been there, Isak doesn't score because we saw Dragon
maybe
stop him for a similar ball earlier. So what I'm trying to say is that if we can dominate Newcastle at home the way that we dominated you, and I respect Newcastle, I got Newcastle to be in my definitely top 5 this season. I respect your team. For us to do what we did with no striker on the pitch is pretty damn impressive, in my opinion. And Wolfie, let's be real, you were cacking yourself during the game. And the only reason why you've come on tonight's show is because you got it over the line, mate.
Bro, look at the background behind me, bro. Don't start freaking black and white in me, man. Look at the background behind me, bro.
Forest fan. Oh, that's
I'm coming. This is a neutral, bro. I'm coming. This is a neutral, man.
So what I'm trying to say is the domination, and I think my Newcastle, Chris and Daz, you saw it. You were surprised at how good Spurs were, because that was pretty much, barring your centre backs, that's your team. Gordon Barnes, we love to see it.
I have to say, Deji, when I saw Tino Vermeer coming on, I was like, yes, because he's not a hope he scored.
Deji, do you think that Solanke is going to be the answer though? Because I know we had a good season at Bournemouth last season. I'm not knocking him, but it's a lot of money to pay for them, isn't it? And are you convinced? I mean, I'm basing this off a 63 million Alexander Isak.
They've overpaid, so they've overpaid massively.
Solanke's no Harry Kane. He doesn't need to be. What we need is a half decent striker, someone who could just put the ball in the back of the net. The reason why we went out for Solanke was because we were putting literally, balls on a plate for Richarlison, and he was missing the goal. It was harder to miss than to score. So we said, we just need someone who can put the ball in the back of the net. And in the current global market of strikers, Solanke was available. Solanke will get 15 plus goals at Spurs. We create that many chances. He will.
In all comps.
15 Premier League goals this
Premier League goals.
Solanke at Spurs. We create that amount. Bruv, we've created the second most chances already after 3 games. It's
Congratulations! How many points you got?
But Wolfie, but look, let's not be disingenuous and let's not pretend that you've never kicked the ball before. Let's just be honest. What do we say about strikers who lose form? What do we look out for? We look for, are they getting in the right positions? Yeah, because we know if you're getting in the right positions over time, sooner or later they'll start to put the ball in the back of the net. What's happened with Spurs so far in these 3 games is simply we just haven't put the ball in the back of the net. So sooner or later, we will start scoring. And when we start scoring, we start getting the W's and we will fly up the table. And that is the promising thing. Whereas Arsenal have not looked convincing so far this season. Nottingham Forest, I'm not going to lie, they're one of the dustiest teams I've ever seen in my life. And... Newcastle haven't been great so far this season. Man United is probably the worst team in the Prem at the moment.
I agree.
Those are where you would be worried. You Spurs fans and Spurs, we're not worried. Just keep cooking, and then
how can you not be worried? How can you not be worried? You couldn't beat Leicester City. You couldn't beat Leicester City, the team that has the most defensively minded manager who would have been happy to lose to you 1-0. Yeah, you let them score. You couldn't beat Leicester. Everton you beat. I mean, Everton are probably down there with Man U. Yeah. You're deluded if you think Solanke wasn't having a purple patch last season. I've watched his brother play, man, when he was in the Championship. He banged the goals in. He struggled with Bournemouth in the Premier League and he had a purple patch last season, and you've bought him on a purple patch.
Is Solanke better than Richarlison?
Yeah,
that's got nothing to do with it. That's got nothing to do with this grand illusion that you're building about.
My learned friend in the middle, thank you for saying yes, you're a Chelsea fan. Do you know Richarlison got 12 Premier League goals and he's not great? And we're saying that Solanke's better than him. So what is the outrageous comment I've made? If Solanke is better than Richarlison, surely he will score more goals in a team that creates pretty much the most chances in the Prem.
Who's better, Richarlison or Chris Wood?
Richarlison is better than Chris Wood.
Okay, so how did Chris Wood score more goals last season?
I'm not gonna lie. If it wasn't for the invitation of Pete, I would not know you. Okay, I don't really stream below 10.
Oh, it doesn't mean we can't debate the point here.
Below 10, you know
yeah, but just by answering that,
with the greatest respect, we don't stream below 10th. Do you get what I'm saying?
Yeah, I know. We're 9th. We're 9th.
You know what I mean?
Mind the gap, bro. Mind the gap. Yeah.
He's having a good moment. That's the best I've ever seen him play at your club.
But who's better, Richarlison or Chris Wood?
Richarlison's better than Chris Wood.
Okay, so by that logic, how did Chris Wood score more goals?
You reckon Chris Wood would play for Brazil? Forget where he's from.
You're contradicting your own argument.
His profile, does he play for Brazil?
You're contradicting your own argument.
Does Chris Wood play for Brazil based on his profile?
Well, he's from New Zealand, so I don't know how he would.
Oh, come on, Wolfie, man. I don't care where he's from.
I'm gonna move this on because Deji, I want to ask you a question, and it's a player that we've talked about on this channel because it was out of, I think it was Anu who was going to go to, and it's James Maddison. Now he was brought in for you to be the guy that was going to unlock defenses and make the difference. You've already touched on the fact that he was the reason why Joe Linton was able to put the ball through to Murphy in order to create the goal. Didn't have the greatest of performances, got hauled off not long after the goal was scored. Like, are you not worried as a Tottenham fan that he's not going to be that guy? I'm hearing murmurs from various Tottenham fans saying that they're not happy with him and they're not sure if he's going to hit the heights. Where are you at?
I think a lot of Spurs fans, we are, whether we like it or not, we're a bit overreactionary. I think we need to calm down. Maddison is quality. If we are panicking about Maddison, then what are Arsenal fans doing about Odegaard? Do you know what I'm saying? Like, Odegaard has done absolutely nothing so far this season, and they don't seem to be panicking half as much as the Spurs fan base. I think Maddison will come good. I think he showed what he's capable of. The problem with us is he had such a good start after Kane left that we're holding him up to those 10 out of 10 standards. And when you drop from 10 out of 10, it just doesn't look great. And that's just typical Spurs. I think Maddison will be fine. We don't need him to be some sort of Zinedine Zidane. We just need players to just do their job properly. And I think in the system that we play, we do need him. We need him. And when Maddison is on form, he's very, very difficult to stop. And he does seem like someone who is a man that is determined to kind of prove that he's legit. So I think Maddison will be fine. I'm not worried about Maddison. Look, our team is fine. Look at the way that we've played. We've outplayed every team we've played so far this season. We will continue to outplay pretty much every team apart from Liverpool and Man City. So for me, the future is bright for my club, definitely. And I can't wait to go to the City ground and slap them up like we normally do. That's what we do. So yeah.
So Deji, so where do you think you're finishing in the league? So you said
I want to know that. Yeah.
And you missed Arsenal there, but maybe there's a reason behind that. But where do you think you'll finish?
I've got Spurs realistically to finish in the Champions League top 4, definitely. I think we could actually finish third, in my opinion. I'll explain why.
Who drops out then? Who drops out? Are you expecting Villa to drop out of that?
Yeah, well, yeah. So I never even considered Villa in the top 4 for this season. I think, we know that you and I can't multitask. So dealing with Champions League football in the Premier League is going to be quite difficult for them. We know that.
Agreed.
Newcastle, I think, is the only other challengers. I've got you there to finish 4th potentially. You'd be surprised. I would say, and for Wolfie, you be forget about Chelsea. I mean, I don't even mention Chelsea most days. I think Maresca's rubbish, and I think we're going to see the real.
We'll finish above Tottenham. I can almost guarantee it.
I've gone round to different Chelsea fans doing £100 bets. I'm not doing it now. That Spurs will finish above Chelsea. That's how confident I am. So let's not go there, my good.
That's your trophy, isn't it? That's what you boys celebrate, finishing above us.
No, we don't give a damn about you guys. We actually want you guys to come back. Obviously, once Daddy left the building, you guys fell apart. You know what I'm saying? When you guys come back, that would be amazing. I think where I might surprise you all, and I'm going to put it out there, I might be deluded for this. Legitly, this is probably a deluded take.
Just this.
I'm not sure about Liverpool.
Ooh.
Not because Liverpool's not a good team. I'm not sure that Arne Slot is legit. And so far, we can't really measure that Liverpool team because they've not played anyone of substance yet. But let's see how Liverpool do when they play Newcastle. Let's see how they do when they play Villa. Let's see how they do when they play Chelsea. And then I'll be able to judge. But I think Arne Slot has had a good start. And I think he could fall off because the Prem is brutal. And so far, so good for him. But I don't know if he's got the minerals to sustain himself. So for me, the surprise one that I think we should be all looking out for is Liverpool falling off. It might not be straight away, but I wouldn't be surprised if it did happen. And
it's when the Champions League kicks in as well, Deji. I mean, I do you know what? I agree with what you're saying there about Liverpool because I think they're riding on the crest of a wave, and people coming out now and saying, Arne Slot's just took over where Klopp, left, and everything's great and everything's wonderful. And I think, well, they've not really been tested yet. What if they're missing a couple of players? What if when they've got to start balancing the Champions League? Exactly. They transfer window wise, yet they bought Chiesa in, and they've got Mamardashvili in, who's now gone straight back on loan. But I don't think it's just going to be a simple transition. So I think of all the clubs, Liverpool are the ones that I'm interested in because I don't think it's going to be as simple as what some people are making out. And
I can disagree more. I really
can.
Yeah. The problem is everyone's looking at Liverpool's window saying, where are the signings? Where are the signings? Why not look at it and say, who did they manage to keep? Because that team is basically the team of last season. The team that, don't forget, we're still fighting for the league title with 4 or 5 games to go. That team is a good team.
Was that not Klopp though, Wolfie? Was that not the whole Klopp resurgence? And like I say, when they come under a sticky patch, we were talking about strikers Like we've got Alexander Isak. Jesus talked about Solanke coming back. You've got Chris Wood. Their established striker at the moment is Darwin Núñez, and Arne Slot doesn't even want to play him. And I'm thinking
because they've got Mo Salah. I think they've got the best depth
in the middle as well.
They've got the best depth up front, and this whole notion of number 9 being the main man. There's only probably 3 clubs in the Premier League where the main man is the number 9. You rely on wingers to score goals now. Modern football's changed. It's not 4-4-2 anymore. Salah scoring, Saka scores. Look up and down the league. Wingers are important to goals. Gordon for you guys. Okay, you are probably one of a few clubs that still has a renowned 9 in Isaac who can bang them in still, and Haaland, and probably Ollie Watkins. That's pretty much the list. The rest of the clubs rely on the width coming in to attack. And Liverpool have the best depth up front. They may not have the man in Haaland, but they have a good enough strike force.
But,
do you know what I mean? Because spread the risk. If Haaland gets injured, who have Man City got to bring back in? They've sold Alvarez. If Liverpool, if Darwin Núñez is injured, they've got Jota. If Jota's injured, they've got what's his name? The guy from South America who's called Diaz. They've got depth. They've got depth in there, and that's what you need to look at is squad depth. Yes, they still need a CDM. That's their problem for me is CDM, but that team is cohesive. Whereas we're talking, you guys said at the start of the show, let's see what happens in Newcastle after the international window. The reason Liverpool have started hot is because that team knows each other from last season. So don't just write them. They definitely finish against Spurs, if that's the question. There's I'm
not disagreeing. I'm just saying that Arne Slot is unproven. He's had a favourable start to the season. Let's be real though about the Liverpool team, because I think you've been quite generous. You know, Núñez is really not the guy. And Gakpo is really
not playing, bro. He's not playing.
I know, but you know, the point that Chris was making is as soon as Salah, you know, hopefully he doesn't get injured, or Jota, we saw what happened to them last season. When they got injured, they dipped off. And if they get injured again, guess what? They will dip off. And then it will be very interesting to see how Arne Slot manages that Liverpool team. My issue is not the team. The team is fantastic. But Wolfie, you, me, the panel, if we had that squad, we would have got 9 points. That's all I'm saying. And that's not me being disingenuous.
I knew I'd get that reaction.
I'm talking about Liverpool, you know. How convenient.
Tests are coming down. Once they're tested, then we will know. I'm just saying, let's watch out for Liverpool. I've got Arsenal fans are already confirming that they're no longer in the title race between Man City and Liverpool. And I'm saying, well, how can you make that judgment after 3 games?
Can we drop 2 points?
Yeah.
Right.
We're not in the title race. Hang on. That doesn't make sense.
Do we need a minute's silence for Dan, or how do we do this?
Right. We'll come to Dan. Well, first of all, welcome into the panel. Great to have you. I know you come back from work. I want to come to Chelsea. Obviously, Chelsea. I'm not going to lie, Charlie. I expected the W for you this weekend against Palace. Wasn't surprised to see them score, but surprised to see them hold on for the draw and get the point at Stamford Bridge. Like you got to be frustrated with that, the way in which it's come about, and surely you would have had that as a big W on the board that's not materialised. How are you seeing it?
Yeah, no, of course, you know, obviously, you know, look at Palace. We've beaten them the last 13 or 14 games in a row in the league. That was their first point against us for a number of years. Disappointing always when you drop points at home. Surprised to see your guy starting at centre back. I must have got on the wrong team bus or something. Could have sworn he was at St James's Park. Must have got that one wrong, mate. But yeah, no, look, it was a game of 2 halves. Like, I know it's cliche, but the first half we were really good. Scored a brilliant goal on the counter. Real nice team move with Enzo, Madueke, Palmer, Jackson, and whatnot. And the only disappointment from the first half was that we didn't score more goals. Madueke had a couple of chances. I think Palmer might have had one as well that went pretty close. And, you know, if we're 2 or 3 up at half time, which we definitely could have been, that game's done. But the problem with us is, and this is not just a Maresca issue, this is an issue that has gone back, you know, under Pochettino, under Thomas Tuchel, is that when we're in the ascendancy, we're not able to kill games off. And it doesn't matter how well you're doing in in a game, if it's only 1-0, the other team's always got an opportunity. And Palace, in fairness to them, they come out second half and they were much better than us, much better than us. We failed to clear our lines from a set piece, didn't shut Eze down on the edge of the box, and it was a brilliant finish. But from that point onwards, it just felt we were too easy to pass through in midfield. We defended reasonably well, in fairness. Like, Palace didn't have an awful lot of opportunities. They looked sort of threatening going forward at times without really doing too much. But they did a job on us. Glasner did a job on us. You know, they made it really hard for us to break them down, defended well. And that's the thing that Chelsea have got to work on, is breaking down low blocks. It's something we struggled with last season. It's something we struggled with for a number of years, is despite the attacking quality we've got, we still find it difficult to break teams down that come and sit with a lot of men behind the ball. And this won't just be a Chelsea thing. I'm sure a lot of teams struggle with this as well. It is a difficult thing to do. And sometimes you just got to hold your hands up and say, do you know what? The opposition done a job on us. And, you know, you just have to take it on the chin. I don't think we played that badly. There was obviously a big drop off from the first half to the second half. And it's a game that you would have down as a win. But from the opening 3 games, I mean, 4 points. Yes, I obviously wanted more points on the board, but I've not seen anything from Chelsea in these first 3 games under Maresca that I've seen that has made me think, shit, we're going to be banging trouble here. I've not, or anything that I've thought, I didn't expect to see that. I've kind of seen what I expected to see from us at this point in the season. Am I concerned? No, not right now, because I think 3 games is definitely not the time to be panicking about anything. But there are a few things that do need to be addressed. And yes, we need to be more clinical in front of goal, but we're not always going to be bailed out by the attack. We've got to learn how to keep clean sheets again. It's all very well saying, oh, let's score 2, 3 or 4 goals or whatever. Let's learn how to win games 1-0 again, because we considered a club record amount of goals last season under Pochettino, and defensively this season, we still look very shaky. So it's all very well saying, take your chances, score more goals. You're not going to get bailed out by your attack every week. You're not going to score 6 like we did against Wolves every week. That's just not going to happen. We've got to learn to win games like 1-0. You've got to learn to see games out, you know, get scrappy 2-1 wins and things like that. So that's something that this team still needs to learn to do. So yeah, I'm disappointed by it, but I'm not worried. I'm not overly concerned about what I've seen so far. If we're having the same conversations in, say, after 10, 12 games, then those concerns become a little bit bigger. But right now, I'm reasonably happy with where we're at.
Charlie, what was your prediction? Sorry, Pete. What was Charlie's prediction for Chelsea to finish this season?
For me, I think we can get 4th, but my prediction was anywhere between 4th and 6th. But I tipped us for a 4th place finish. But that's on the caveat that the players stay fit and that we're obviously kind of clinical in front of goal. But I think that 4th place is there for the taking. I look at the teams that are competing for it. For me, Liverpool, Arsenal, and Man City are the 3 best teams in the league. Liverpool, you could maybe put a question mark over what happens when they go for a bit of a bad patch. Has Slot got it in him to get them going again? We know that Arsenal and City are comfortably the 2 best teams in the league, probably followed by Liverpool. But I don't expect Villa to be up there again. I think they'll be challenging for European places, but I think the Champions League again will be too much for them. So you're looking at, you know, United are not even in the conversation for me. Then you're looking at Newcastle, Spurs, Chelsea. Kind of going for that 4th spot. I think it's very, very open.
Charlie, do you not worry about this World Club Cup that you're in as well?
That's not until next summer.
Is it not?
No, it's next summer. It's been revamped. The thing's next summer. So yeah.
Oh, I thought it was in the winter time.
No, it used to be, but now they've revamped it and it's now in the summer. So yeah, I think Chelsea can finish 4th. But I definitely wouldn't write us off. But there's a lot of variables still. We don't know what Maresca is going to be like. And we don't know how fit our players are going to stay, because injuries were a massive problem last season and have been for a number of years.
You've got 150 players. Why should you be worrying about fitness?
No, we've had a lot of injury issues last season. But look, for me,
Charlie, if you have that many injury troubles, you're going to be in. If you've got 20 players injured, you are seriously unlucky, because you've got a squad of how many?
No, it's not as many as people.
Oh, this is so boring. This whole we had it when we came up, man.
I'm asking the question. It's not boring. I'm asking a question.
Boring. We had it when we came. You signed 30 players. It's a freaking football squad, man. You can still only register 25.
We are
asking a question. What's wrong with me asking a question? Sorry. Did I ask something wrong?
No, we're gonna have 20. We're gonna have 25. A squad of 25, and the rest of them it is what it is. They'll either train away from the first team squad or like whatever's going to happen with them. But
Charlie, can I just ask you that quick? You know, Nicholas Jackson. Obviously, he's made a decent start, hasn't he?
Yeah,
I noticed he's just got a 9-year deal. Is he going to be the man? Looking at the Solanke, we were talking about main strikers. Is he going to be the man now, or?
Well, look, obviously, I'm like a lot of Chelsea fans, massively disappointed that we didn't get a striker. I'm not that bothered about Osimhen not coming, but it's just the fact that we wasted so much time on that deal when it was obvious that he was not going to change his demands, and we should have pursued other options. I would have been very happy with an Ivan Toney. I would have been happy with a John Duran even. I know people might sort of laugh at that a little bit. He started the season very well. I think he's a profile of player that's actually underrated. Yeah. And when we were first linked with him earlier in the summer, a lot of Chelsea fans, I think myself included, to begin with, sort of turned our noses up at him, thinking, "Oh, that's not really what we're looking for. That's definitely not the answer." So I'm disappointed we didn't get another striker. But having said that, I think we can revisit the market in January, potentially see what's going on there. But in regards to Jackson, I think the one thing that annoys me is how Jackson gets spoken about compared to the likes of Havertz or Rasmus Højlund. He cost less than half what those guys cost. He scored more goals than both of them, yet people talk about Jackson in a disparaging manner compared to Havertz is reborn at Arsenal, and Højlund always, is really promising young striker, this and that, when Jackson's comfortably better than both of them at this point in time and had better seasons than both of them last season. Look, he's young, he's still raw, he's still learning his trade. I think Chelsea are putting too much pressure on him to be the main number 9. In terms of the contract, it is what it is. Chelsea do these long-term deals. Other teams do them as well, by the way. I'm seeing other clubs signing 6-7-year deals. So when I see Chelsea getting stick for these long-term contracts, I want to see the same energy for these other teams that are offering 6-7-year deals. Because I'm seeing that happening now. So, that the energy needs to be kept the same for that.
9 though, Charlie. 9.
Well, there's a 2-year extension. Look, it is what it is at the end of the day. They've rewarded him for a good first season. Whatever.
Surely not that big of a reward. Look,
it'll be a rise. But just quickly on Jackson, by the way. I think he's very, very underappreciated. I know, as fans of our teams, we're always going to be a bit more biased towards our own players, just as naturally. But I do think Jackson doesn't get the credit he deserves. Yes, his finishing has got to improve, and yes, it leaves a lot to be desired at times, and he misses a lot of opportunities. He scored 14 Premier League goals last season, right? Look how many chances he missed. He missed so many opportunities.
Exactly. That's what I was going to say, Charlie.
There's a 20 goals a season striker in him. There's a 20 goals a season striker in him. But we should have bought someone else in my opinion, for him to learn from. But there's definitely a 20 goals a season striker in there. And for me, he's in terms of all-round play, I think he's one of the best forwards in the league. Take away the finishing. I think he's one of the best strikers in the league in terms of his all-round play and what he brings to this Chelsea side. He creates chances, he runs channels, he links up play well, he holds up play well. I just don't think he gets the credit that he deserves. And yes, there's a lot of improvements he can make, but I think he's very much underrated by a lot of people.
Charlie, just a quick question. Would you have considered bringing Solanke back, or would you have felt that he should be so lucky?
Look, I mean, he was with us for a long time ago. He come through the ranks, didn't he? Look, it wasn't really someone that I considered. There were loose links with him, obviously because the release clause in his Bournemouth contract. Chelsea were looking for a striker and whatnot. History with the club at the past, but I didn't really ever think that was a serious option for Chelsea. I don't really know how he would have done. I mean, Toney would have been perfect in my opinion. You get him in for maybe 2-3 years, bit of a stopgap, not a stopgap signing, but someone that sort of plugs a hole for a few years. I'm really surprised that no Premier League teams actually actively pursued him. I would have thought there would have been a brilliant piece of business to be done there. He went there for about 35-36 million. There's a lot of Prem teams that could have done with him at that price, 100%. So I'm disappointed that we didn't go for him. But I think Jackson will be good for us this season. But again, as I said, we're putting him in a position that he shouldn't really be in at this stage of his Chelsea career.
He's rubbish.
Best time to learn, though, Charlie. Best time to learn, though.
You haven't got if they haven't got
that striker. he's going to have to play every week, isn't he? And this is where we'll learn and we'll see that development instead of sort of with a second striker doing this. He it can only go up, can't it, if he's getting the game time.
Yeah, of course. The game time's a positive. The game time's definitely a positive, but I just think if you bring in someone like if Osimhen was here, for example, right, like that would only better Nicholas Jackson as well. So yeah, I think he'll do all right this season. The game time will absolutely help him. You're spot on there. But I still think it's a lot of pressure to put on someone who is still a relatively inexperienced player.
Will you see Nkunku play through the middle, Charlie, or is he just predominantly going to play on the wing?
I don't really know.
He's a 10.
It's an interesting one with Nkunku because we were all delighted when we signed him. I think his quality is obvious. What he done, at RB Leipzig, had a very good record there. And he's come to Chelsea, obviously injured for the majority of last season. Started a pre-season really well this season. But he's not really had much of an impact in the Premier League. Yeah, he got a couple of goals in the Conference League playoff against Servette from the penalty spot, which were actually really important for us in the end. But Maresca's not really fancied him so far at this point in the season. He's only started the one game in the league. He was on the bench against Wolves. He was on the bench against Palace as well. His best position's a 10. I don't necessarily like him through the middle that much. Yes, it's an option there, but it definitely, in my view, doesn't get the best out of him. And he's not really a wide player either. So it's great having all these options, but it seems like there could be a potential headache for Maresca in terms of where he's going to fit all these guys in. Because normally, he might go with 2 out-and-out wingers, or, he might have one that comes in. I think Cole Palmer's definitely plays better centrally. You've got Joao Felix, who probably plays better centrally as well. And then you've got Nkunku, who's probably best centrally. So you've got like 3 options there. Something's going to have to give. Some players will probably have to be playing out of position. So I think Nkunku will be an option for the middle at times, but it's not an option that I'd like to see us use on too regular a basis.
Palmer and Jackson seem to have gone, hit it quite well as well, don't they? And like whenever you see one of them score, the other one looks at the other one as if to say, especially for you with that one, don't they? They really do.
Yeah, I think there's a look. Chelsea have had over the years, you've had a lot of sort of unlikable squads. There's been like a lot of sort of bad characters in the changing room and that, particularly when Graham Potter was here. There were a lot of people that just didn't want to be at the club. You can accuse Chelsea of a lot of things, and there's a lot of things that haven't been right. But one thing there generally is these lads genuinely want to play for the football club, and there is that togetherness amongst the squad, and they are likable characters. Like the fans do connect with them. There is an appreciation there, and they do seem to all get on very well. I mean, obviously the Palmer and Madueke link up is looking very good. Obviously, he assisted all of his goals against Wolves, and I think the link up in the front line is promising. I don't think you can say that Chelsea won't score a lot of goals this season. I think we absolutely will. I think we'll create a number of chances as well. But the question with us will always be, we've got too much talent not to score goals and not to create numerous opportunities. But the question will always be for us is, can we take our opportunities when we're in front of goal? That's going to be the big question. And that's probably what's going to define where we're going to finish this season, is how often can we stick the ball in the back of the net when we're given the chances.
I think the question that's going to define you is, have you got any more hotels to sell to yourself?
Mate,
because if you don't get charged with PSR this
You did this last week, Wolfie. You did it last week. You
don't hate the player, hate the game. It's in the rules. Don't come at the Premier League.
I'm just gonna stop it. I'm just gonna stop it there, just because there is some breaking news, and it's not that on there on the comments at the moment. Leicester have successfully appealed their PSR potential points deduction, so they will not get a points deduction.
That's pretty big.
So yeah, big news with
regards us into a relegation battle. Then wonderful.
I thought that would come in. Now, look, Charlie, I know you've got to go at some point. I know you could stay with us.
I've got 5 minutes, mate. No worries.
So we can continue, and we're going to move on to our last club, as Deji likes to say, Manchester United. Now, look, we've got to come to it. We've got to discuss it. Couple of things that came out today. Obviously,
why
you would give your opinion about the game, and you can share your thoughts about that. But the thing that surprises me more than anything is this that came out today.
It's great.
Rada says that we still believe
things
in
you love
Eric
to see.
Ten Hag.
It's
We
great
think that
news.
Eric's the right coach for us, and we fully backing him. I want to get your thoughts on this because it seems like it's going bad to worse for Man United. Like, where are you at right now? And hearing those particular comments, like, what are your thoughts, mate?
I'm chuffed. That's the dreaded vote of confidence. Yeah, okay, it's 3 games into the season. It should have been done. It should have been done at the start of the season, but that's the dreaded vote of confidence that I really wanted to hear. I knew they weren't going to sack him straight away after the game. I knew they weren't going to do that. I thought they should have. With the international break, they've had time to do something. But yeah, it's the dreaded vote of confidence. He will be feeling it now. Now, the thing that I said, and I said this last night, and I'll say it again, is what we've done wrong here is we backed him, and again, take the L. I said it. I'd rather him have stayed over the people we were linked with. But we've not only let him stay, we've given him a whole new backroom staff. So that's going to be an absolute mess to try and clear
That's
up.
the new manager, isn't it? They just bought him.
Sorry?
That's going to be the new gaffer, Rude.
I hope not, Charlie. I hope not, because we fall into the Ole Gunnar Solskjaer scenario again. We really do. What they're doing there is they're keeping the fans on side by having a club legend come in and take the reins. We need to bring a new manager in. Simple as that. It's as simple as that. There's no other way around it. Yeah, give it Rude to the end of the season. We're 3 fucking games in. Okay. With regards to Sunday, I said I saw us just because of how chaotic we were. I saw us beating them. But do you know something? I think the players are starting to turn on him a little bit. I do genuinely think that the players looked so bad. To coin Deji, Dusty, they really did. It was embarrassing. Casemiro coming off at half time, embarrassing. I just feel like they look like they haven't got any direction. We've seen Garnacho coming out today trying to hit back at people on Twitter. That is the sign of what was happening 3-4 years ago, that really, really horrible culture building within the changing room. Instead of just getting your head down and cracking on and trying to get yourselves out of this mess, it's the case of, no chance. It's a case of, just trying to go, no chance. It's a case of going out there. It's a case of going out there and trying to argue with people. So, yeah, I think if I was Liverpool on Sunday, I'd be fuming, because that wasn't a 3-0 game. That should have been 6, 7, 8. It should have been more. It really should. And I actually said this to Errol, Liverpool fan. Liverpool haven't played a decent team yet. Simple as that. They've played Ipswich. I think Ipswich put more of a fight up than Man United. And I think, again, we are a big club in name. We are not a big club in nature. We are, at the moment, a small club in the sense of the way we're acting on the pitch, the way that our manager acts, saying that he's comparing the job to Manchester United to Harry Potter. I tell you something. Like,
if Harry
these
Potter
guys,
had 600 mil, he'd be doing a lot better, wouldn't he?
it's more than that, mate, isn't it? 730 or something like that. I mean, that's the lols on him. So the thing that I will say, right, is he's got no excuse. Like, Ten Hag has no excuse. He has got all these players are basically players he's brought in now. So it's not like he can come out and say, oh, but I haven't got the team where I want it to be. That's bullshit. He's run out of all excuses. I don't think he'll be given the time to do what I said I think he'll spawn and do, which is win the Europa League. That's what my worry is, that he'd spawn
Jose
it.
will do a job on him. That'll be the final straw, won't it, when Mourinho Fenerbahce beat you?
I don't think he'll be there by then, mate. I genuinely don't, Charlie. I genuinely, once this vote of confidence comes in, look, we've all had managers at clubs that have had these issues, and as soon as the owners or Berardi comes out, or someone of that stature comes out and says this, it's the beginning of the end. It wouldn't surprise me, this whole international break, if they're working out how to get rid of him. And they need to, because at the end of the day, I went at Wolfie last week. I went at Wolfie when I said there weren't any good managers out there. But we've got to go out and pay the money. And like, my only concern is what manager at the moment, and I get what Wolfie said last week about, it's a big job and managers want that big job. But what manager at the moment looks at this squad, not the club, looks at the squad and goes, yeah, I could do something with that lot. There's only one manager for me. There's only one manager.
You threw a name out there, didn't you?
Emery's the only man for me. If he can do what he did with Villa, with a team that Gerrard had, then he can do anything. He's got European absolute heritage there. He's been there and done it. But Why is Emery going to want to leave a project like Aston Villa to come to Manchester
Dan,
United?
I've got the answer for you, mate. I've been thinking about it. I've got the answer for you. The perfect manager. Apart from, obviously, I'd love you to get Southgate. But from your perspective, it has to be Marco Silva. Marco Silva would sort that out. Look at the players he gets given at Fulham. No disrespect to them. I call them a bunch of raggy dolls. But he gets an absolute tune out of them. You put your disillusional squad together with him, and he would sort you out. And don't tell me you can't get him. He's at Fulham.
No, I agree. I see what you, I didn't. Yeah, I agree, Wolfie. And I think the thing with Marco Silva, you see most clubs he goes to, those players die for him. They will go out there and run themselves into the ground. And we don't have that with Ten Hag. And I say this, and I don't want to bore people, especially Deji, because I know how he gets when we talk about United. But I see the same problems game in, game out, where it's were so open for teams to play against. Teams don't really have to think. And the thing that really, really irritates me is that Arne Slot was able to stand there on Sky Sports and completely pull apart what Manchester United had tried to do last year and what they're trying to do this year. And that's a guy who's been in England for, 3 months, if that? So, yeah, I put myself, sorry, Deji, quickly. I put myself, and I know how it feels now. I remember when it went really bad towards the end of Benitez at Liverpool. And I remember I was tweeting, I was saying to my Liverpool mates, keep him. I'm loving this. This is where Man United are now. And we've had the back room come in. That's fantastic. And they have done the right job in bringing Hood. They're trying to build from behind. I get that. That's fantastic. That's brilliant. But now, enough of the excuses. What's happening on the pitch is just embarrassing. And I said that we could finish between 7th and 3rd. No chance. No chance. Under this manager, no chance.
Can I just say, Dan, look, totally different guys, because, like I said, I respect you, and I think you're a massive fan, and I only want to see the best for you in your club. I'm just going to give a different perspective for just a moment. Now, for me, I always use Arsenal as a yardstick. Yeah. In season 1, Arsenal finished 8th. Season 2, 8th under Arteta. Season 3, they finished 5th. And then, the rest is history. I think for Arsenal, most Arsenal fans will say they've seen progression. Ten Hag has done better than that. He's given you 2 trophies in 2 seasons. We can't just turn our nose up at that. And I think what the Man United board is trying to do is just give time. How many times have we moaned about we keep changing managers? You've had our 8th manager in years. Do you know what I'm saying? And actually,
I agree that
they're trying to see if he can get it round. Like I think this season is a write-off for United, but that doesn't mean it doesn't click for Ten Hag next season. Like nobody saw whatever is happening with Arsenal. No one saw it coming. If anyone saw it coming, they're liars. No, we didn't. Just like Pochettino at Spurs. Do you know? He might just get it done. I don't know, but he might need that. But go on.
To that, Deji, I get what you're saying, but I kind of did. I'm not saying I expected Arsenal to finish second and challenge, but after each season, like the first season, he got rid of all of the deadwood. He got rid of Aubameyang, which was a massive, massive problem in the changing room. The following season, you started to see him bring in these other players that you knew weren't there yet, but you could see something there. And then the season they finished 5th, obviously, there was progression there. With Ten Hag, I think we can all honestly sit here and say we are seeing exactly now what we saw when he got there. And he's had players to come in and adapt to the way that I keep hearing this. Oh, it's he's got the Ajax way. No chance. This at the moment, the way we're playing, and this isn't a disrespect to League 2 clubs. It's League 2 football. The only thing that we're missing is hoofing the ball from kickoff. It's League 2 football. The tactics are so basic and so behind the likes of Ange, the likes of Maresca, the likes of what Howe does, the likes of what Pep does, the likes of what I could list every manager, to be honest. You watch every club play and you know what style of play they're coming with. You watch them and you go, that's how Wolves play. That's how Palace play. That's how Forest play. With Manchester United, we know how they play, and it's terrible. It's side-to-side football, and they try and hit them long to catch them on the counter. How many times have we seen Bruno pick the ball up in the centre circle and try and loft it forward to someone? And sometimes it may come off, and you go, "Oh, what a ball!" But that's not football. That's not football in the Premier League. In the Premier League, which, by the way, now is It was elite before. It is past that now. You have got so many good football teams. You've got so many teams that are trying to get Champions League football. None of this big four bollocks anymore. You know, the top four, they were there every season, and then you'd have like an Everton or a Newcastle. I remember years ago with Bobby Robson would break the mold. That doesn't happen anymore. There are 7 or 8 clubs that can get Champions League football. But what we're doing is season upon season, we're falling behind just that little bit more. Instead of trying to catch them up and trying to implement things to get us to where we need to be, we're falling behind, and that can't happen. And if and when we do sack him, we will sack him. It will be a start again scenario, right? Okay, new manager in. We need, because no manager is going to be able to sort these players out. Okay, there are some good players in there, but you don't qualify for Champions League with good players. You qualify for Champions League with players who have the right attitude and application, and you have to have that X factor in some of them. Every team's got them that's challenging for Champions League. We're nowhere near it. And I don't even get angry anymore. I don't, because do you know something? If you get angry and waste your energy on something that until it changes, you can't have anything to do with, why bother? And the thing I will finish on, the Man United fans turned on Ten Hag on Sunday. That's the first time they've done that. They booed him and booed him and booed him. And I think as soon as your fans start doing that, especially with Ineos being in their infancy with the club and trying to please fans and trying to show that they are the right people to take this forward, they'll listen to that. They will absolutely listen to that.
Final thing before we wrap up the show, because we're coming towards the end.
I've got to get to the airport. Sorry, mate.
You head straight off.
Much love to you, boys.
See you all,
as always.
Much love to you.
Pleasure to meet you, mate.
You too, mate.
We're back on soon. But Dan, just one last thing. You've got your next 3 games. You've got Southampton away, Crystal Palace away, and Tottenham at home. How many points do you think you're going to get, in your opinion?
Is Ten Hag still in charge?
Yeah.
2 or 3. 2 or 3, because we can't break down. So Southampton have just come up. They are going to loft people behind the ball and try and catch. We can't break teams down. We all know that. Palace have always been a bogey team for Man United, even when we've played really well. They've always been a bogey team. So no chance. And Deji's lot, you know, of course they'll have a. Deji knows this more than I do. And look, I love having back and forth with Deji on the 12th Man's podcast, but we know the way that Ange sets his team up, they will absolutely obliterate what we're trying to. And what are we trying to achieve? Because we brought a new centre back in to do that high line, you know, to be able to play forward. That's not happened. They'll pick us apart. Clubs can pick us apart. So unless we get rid of Ten Hag, if we get rid of Ten Hag and Ruud does take over, I do genuinely think, as always with most clubs, you'll get that little bounce, and we may get 5 or 6 points. But under Ten Hag, no chance. I don't back him to beat Wrexham in the bloody cup. Do you know what I mean? I don't back him to do that.
Right, boys, we've finished with our allotted time. I just want to say massive thanks to all of the panelists for coming on and joining tonight. Dan, I know you had to come straight from work, so really appreciate that. Deji, absolute pleasure to have you on the first time. I know you came on sort of short notice, and we massively appreciate it. Hopefully it's not the last time. We'll definitely want to get you back on again soon. Charlie, pleasure as always, coming and joining us. I know you have to work it around work as well. And big thanks to Wolfie. Make sure you're following all these guys on socials. We've put a tweet out. We'll put another tweet out as well with all of their socials on there. Make sure you're following those guys as well. And thank you to everyone in the chat for your comments, questions, and engagement in.
Hey, can I ask a question?
Go for it.
Deji, send me your address, mate. I want to come and chill there, mate. That looks banging.
Yeah. I
Love it.
I'm in Jumanji here, mate. So you definitely be me.
Love it. Right, that's it. That's our lot.
That's it. Dan, just remember on Ten Hag, better the devil you know. Right. Deji started this though, the kindly phrases. Right, that's it. Great, as Pete said, great having everyone on, and we'll see you again soon. We never answer the questions. We never did the sponsors. We'll do it next time. Don't worry. See you in the next one. Have a good one. How do you like that?
How you like drink it.